Hello everyone, we are from Group 2, and on this occasion we will talk about our discussions about direct methods in ELT or English language teaching. But before that, let me introduce our members. The first one is my name is RIZKY with students number 163, and then my partner.
My name is CESAR TANAYA with ID number 138.
Okay, my name is AULIA with ID number 154.
All right, and the first submaterial will presented by VERO. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Rifda. So we're gonna talk about the background and introduction about the direct method. The background of direct method is the desire to create foreign language learning more natural, communicative, and light process when we got first language acquisition. The reason is the previous method failed to produce real language skill, so it's yet more effective to new approach to developing oral skill. The direct method many experts want to copy how children learn their first language by seeing, listening, and practice directly. Figures like Cohen, Saver, and Frank believe that foreign language should be learned without translation, but through practice, action, and direct connection between word meaning. This method came as a rich old grammar method which focused on phrasing and translation and was not effective for real communication. And next, let's introduce about the direct method. This method is called the direct method because students directly connect foreign language, word or phrase with their meaning, without the intermediary of their mother language. The direct method is language teaching that is born from the principle of natural language learning, namely by using target language directly without translation, emphasizing oral interaction, mastery of everyday vocabulary, inductive grammar, and understanding meaning through demonstration, action, or pictures. Next slide, Rifda. So, next talk about the goals of direct method. For the first is develop oral communication. The goal is for students to be able to speak and understand the target language directly. And number two, teach language naturally like first language. The goal is to mimic the natural process of language acquisition without translation. Number three, get students used to thinking in the target language. By not using their mother language, students are encouraged to directly connect language form with meaning. Number four, improve listening and speaking skill. The goal is to develop correct oral communication skill, both in pronunciation and sentence structure. And the last is instill grammar inductively. The grammar is not taught through rules, but rather so that students discover through practice. The next is example of applying direct method in the class. For the first, full use of the target language, teacher only use English in class. For the example, when the teacher entered the class and give the greeting for the student to say, "Good morning all, how are you today?" And then the student answer with, "Good morning teacher, I'm fine." Number two, teach concrete vocabulary with demonstration. The teacher bring real object or picture. When the teacher show book and say, "This is a book," and students say, "Book." And the teacher pointed to the book will say, "Is this the book?" And student answer, "Yes, it is book." And number three, Q&A to get used to communication. When the teacher pointing to the eraser and say, "What is this?" The students say, "It is the eraser." And then teacher give the question, "Is it a pen?" And then students say, "No, it's eraser." And number four, teaching grammar inductively. The teacher doesn't explain the rules but give lot of example. When the teacher showing one book, the teacher say, "This is book." And when the teacher showing the more of one book, and then the teacher say, "These are books." From this, students distinguish singular and plural from example, not from formulas. And the last is pronunciation drill. When the teacher say, "Repeat after me," and then the student repeat for the example, when teacher say teacher, picture, and chair, and then the student repeat with the teacher, picture, and chair. From this, the student imitate, correct the practice pronunciation. From this example, their main focus on practice to speaking, listening, and understanding directly from concrete experience, not from.
Okay, the next soup's material will be explained by my partner Alia. The time is yours.
Okay, for the next main principle of the direct method, number one is teaching entirely in the target language. It helps students think directly in foreign language rather than translating from their native language. So number two, focus on everyday vocabulary and sentences. It enables students to communicate quickly in real life, practical situation. So number three, oral oral communication through intensive Q&A. Students learn to answer fast and speak with confidence. Number four, grammar talk inductively. Students find grammar rules by themselves, not just memorize. So number five, new point introduced orally. Listening and speaking come first, just like how children learn their first language before reading and writing. So number six, concrete vocabulary talk with object or picture or abstract through association. Visual make meaning clearer without translation. Number seven, speaking and listening skill talk together. Communication is always two-way, listening and responding, so both must be trained. So number eight, correct pronunciation and grammar emphasize. Stop bad habit early and builds good language use. So next, for the guidelines Berlitz, first is never translate but demonstrate. Demonstration link meaning directly to the target language. Next is never explain but ache. Easier to understand than long talk. Next is never make a speech but ask question. Keep the class interactive and student active, not passive listener. So next is never imitate mistake but correct immediately. Prevent incorrect habits from becoming permanent. Next, never use single word but use full sentences. Trains learner to communicate in meaningful units, not isolated words. Next, never talk too much but let students talk more. Shift focus to student-centered learning where the learner practice actively. So next, never rely on the book but use your lesson plan. Encourage teachers to be flexible and adapt to learners rather than follow a textbook rigidly. Next is never go too fast or too slow, but follow the student's pace. Ensure students can keep up without feeling lost or bored. So next is speak naturally and normally. Expose students to authentic use of the language. So the last is be patient and relax. Create a supportive environment so students feel confident to participate. Next slide. Okay, for the strength, the first is effective in private language school with highly motivated student. Students who pay for courses usually work hard, and small classes make speaking practice easier. So, number two, helps learner become active speaker from the very beginning. The method focus on speaking and interaction, so students become confident and fluent faster. So, the last, teaches pronunciation and listening comprehension effectively. Daily speaking and listening in the target language helps students understand and speak more clearly. So for the weaknesses, first is difficult to implement in public school due to limited time and teacher resources. Public schools have big classes, less time, and fewer resources, so this method is not practical. So next is requires native speaker or teacher with near native fluency. Teacher must be very good at the language, but such teachers are not always available. So next, highly dependent on the teacher skills rather than textbook. The method needs a creative and skilled teacher. If not, the method will not work well. So for last, critics for lacking a strong foundation in linguistic theory. The method is more practical than scientific, so some scholars criticize it.
All right, the next submaterial or the last submaterial will be explained by me. The last is about the methods era. As you can see on the screen, so in 1920s, the direct method is declared in public schools. So the method was hard to apply in regular schools because it required very skilled teachers and ideal conditions. And in France and Germany, they mix with grammar-based activities. So the teachers started to combine the direct method techniques with grammar practice to make it more realistic. And then the last is in US. Uh, it said that Coleman report in 1923 the speaking not practical. So the report said that the conversation skills were not practical to teach because time was limited and then the teachers were not skilled enough and most students didn't really need speaking ability. And then the focus shift into reading until the World War II. And as a result, the main goal of language learning in the US that, that start from oral communication such as speaking and listening became reading. And this focus stayed until the World War II. So the direct method started the method era. So basically, the method era became a new era of language teaching where many different methods were introduced. Introduced. Sorry, and then the 1950s until 1980s, there are many methods appeared. And during this time, popular methods appeared, such as audiolingual in the US and then situational in the UK, and then the communicative approach and others like total physical response and etc. And at 1990s, there are new approaches that focus on content, tasks, and competencies. Other ideas from general education like cooperative learning and multiple intelligence were also used. And from all of this, the expert finally realized that there is no single perfect methods. This and this and this led to the post-method era, where teachers adapt and combine technique as needed. So, when there is a questions why it is important to us to learn about the methods in English language teaching. So the answers is even if methods change, studying them is still very important. There are are three reasons why. The first one is helps understand teaching history. So it helps us to understand the history of language teaching. Teachers can see how language teaching has developed over time. The second one is it gives teacher practical techniques that they can adapt and adjust to their classrooms. And then the last one is it helps teachers to build basic teaching skills which grow with experience, and trying out different methods can help teachers gain basic skills that they can expand later. So honestly, methods are not strict rules, but it's valuable resources to understand them well. We need to describe, analyze, and compare them systematically. The next slide is conclusion. So, in conclusion, the direct methods was created as a response to the weakness of the grammar translation methods, seeking to make language learning more natural, communicative, and similar to first language acquisition. And it focuses on full use of the target language, everyday vocabulary, speaking through questions and answers, and learning grammar inductively without translation. And although it is effective for improving speaking, listening, and pronunciation, it is difficult to apply in public schools due to limited resources, large classes, and the need for highly skilled teachers. Even though its use declined in 1920s, but the direct methods mark the beginning of the methods era, which later led to many new approaches and methods, and the finally is the post-method era. And therefore, studying this method is still important because it gives us it gives us historical understanding, practical techniques, and basic teaching skills that teachers can adapt to their own classrooms. So the next session is Q&A. So if you guys have a Q&A, you can ask us to comment section. Just write down your questions. All right, that's all from us. Thank you so much for your attention, and see you next time. Goodbye.